Test.
Welcome to NS9 Live. I am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, my co-host, Tyler, a.k.a. Wagner Kutch, and Jim Rosati. What up, fellas?
How's it going?
I love the fact that Jim followed up on me. Peace sign. Good stuff.
I'm not even watching you.
I mean, we'll
no
take
one
it.
is.
Yeah, whatever.
True. Ladies love me. I'm like Val Venus back in WWE days.
Man, that guy.
Val Venus.
I don't know why that name came to my mind, but we'll take
that
it.
career went down.
Yeah, did he ever? I think he was an Intercontinental Champion at one point. Like, I think he got to that, but I can't really remember.
I don't know why you would know that.
Ladies.
Yeah, DiNardo's point is about as far as we should know about him.
Right.
What?
No, I want to say he was an Intercontinental Champion.
Could have been.
I don't even know what that
Couldn't
means,
tell
so
you.
okay.
You know who Val Venus is, but you don't know what the Intercontinental Champion is?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
It's like a secondary belt. Like, you've got the WWE Championship, and then you got the Universal Championship, and then you got the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship. And then back in the day, they had the European Championship too. They had the European title too. Yeah, I'm for real. Are you saying you didn't watch like WWE Raw when you were a kid?
No, I mean, I did.
Yeah,
I watched wrestling when I was like young, and then I got out of it.
To be fair, he was watching Hulk Hogan when he was young.
To
That's
be
true.
fair,
He's a lot older.
I did watch Hulk Hogan when I was young,
But they had the Intercontinental title at that point. Like, that's not that new of a thing.
Okay, I don't know any of the titles. I guess I just wasn't that into it. But I watched when I was young. I got out of it, and then I got back into it, like right when it was blowing up again with like Steve Austin and The Rock, and Val Venus. But I don't know. I mean, you're breaking down all the titles and stuff. I don't know the names of them. I just want to see like a guy smack some beers and pound them.
What were you, 17 when that happened?
No, I got back into it like in 9th grade. So
14,
close.
Okay. So while Stone Cold is smashing beers on his face, I was 7.
Yeah, that's about
Let's
right.
see. That was probably 97. Stone Cold won the King of the Ring in like 96, and that was like what propelled him.
I don't know. Why would I know that?
So I would have been like 9
you were that
or
big
10.
in the wrestling, Jim.
Oh, I love wrestling. I love wrestling today, like now, current wrestling.
Favorite wrestler of all time?
It's Stone Cold. It's got to be.
Really?
That's fair.
Yeah.
So that's a good pick. Like,
I mean, he made the whole show back then. Like, it was like, when's Stone Cold going to come out? And then the glass breaks, and it's like, all right, let's go. You knew something crazy was going to happen.
mine's a little off the wall, but I'm a Hardy Boys kind of guy.
All right. They're still around.
I love the Hardy Boys.
They're old,
Yeah,
right? Old as hell, but
Jeff's had some tough luck.
yeah, both of them have, but
Yeah,
Jeff a little bit
been
more.
much better.
Yeah, Jeff a little bit more.
I've gone down rabbit holes with Jeff Hardy where Sting about murdered him.
Yeah,
So
Jeff
speaking of
has,
that, let me throw
had
in
some
here
rough times.
because you're talking about WWF at the time. Were you a big WCW guy too?
I was
more WWF than WCW.
I was like WCW all the way.
Like the Monday night like wars that went on, I was watching Raw all the way.
See, I was WCW because I love Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, I never liked Goldberg.
I loved Goldberg. The fact that he wrestled like 6 times and was 40-0 was awesome.
I want to know who's in the chat right now that was into wrestling. Who was your favorite
anybody
wrestlers?
that was like. If you're not into wrestling at that point, you're lying.
I kind of feel that's true. It was kind of the it thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the WWF at that time had the what did they call it? The Attitude Era? Yes.
The Attitude Era, yeah.
The Attitude Era was so awesome.
Right. And I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Like when Stone Cold, like in his heyday, when you had like Stone Cold, you had The Rock, you had Triple H, you had DX.
Sable.
Jim, if you weren't walking around giving the suck it to all your teachers, then what's wrong?
I still do that. I still go around giving the suck it to people.
Well, and there you go. Like how Tyler's saying, like, I mean, even if you weren't into wrestling, you were. I mean, that was a pop culture thing.
Yeah.
Who didn't walk around saying
I remember like me and my friends getting in trouble in school because like we would do it. Like, and we would.
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember being like 8 years old and Stone Cold flipped someone off on screen, and I walked past my entire family, flipping middle finger, and Dad was not proud of that.
And this is why Tyler is the way he is today.
Look, I mean, you had me watch a pay-per-view wrestling match in 1999. I'm gonna mimic what Stone Cold does. Deal with it.
Yeah, so
to tie it into the Pirates too, Jason Kendall, his walk-up music was
Road Dogg.
Was the Road Dogg, yeah, and then Billy Gunn, tag team champions of the world.
I think Road Dogg might be a top 5 wrestling entrance of all time.
Oh, the whole both of them together. That tag team was awesome. They would come out, they would do the speech, and I mean, you couldn't not be hyped about it.
But I mean, you didn't know?
Right.
Has to be like top 5 wrestling music ever.
Right. And the fact that was Kendall's walk-up music was pretty sweet.
Was awesome. Another thing I got yelled at about because I didn't know what I was saying, and I just said, "Yo ass better call somebody."
So
yeah, they bleeped that out at the Three River Stadium.
Yeah, they did. But I mean, I watched wrestling too, so I knew what it was.
And this is what I'm bringing up here. So since somehow we got on the topic of wrestling, and Jim's so infatuated, so again, like that was the peak of wrestling, and you're right. The intros, I think, made it to a whole nother level. Because think about this too, like you had actual albums that were coming out, being released, I think there was like remixes to all this stuff. So the intros are becoming a big thing. And then think about all the wrestling games like that. Like PlayStation came out.
They were fun.
Right? Mm-hmm. You could create the wrestlers. You could add the intros, the flames on the ring and stuff. Like there's all that stuff you could actually like create stuff. So like the video games to me too took it to a whole nother level. And I'm trying to think what it was. I think it was like one of the most, I think it was Raw. So WWF Raw.
SmackDown was the video game. Like they came out with SmackDown and then they came out with the video game SmackDown.
Yeah.
So
maybe it was SmackDown.
I remember that one.
But so I want to ask too about WCW because I never watched WCW that much either. But they had some legit video games, right? And Nintendo 64. Oh my God, I played the hell out of that game.
Yeah, no, wrestling video games were pretty good.
I don't remember what game it was, but the one I played, I think it was the first one you could throw a guy through the cage. Like you would play a steel cage match, and there was a little square at the top where I would take Undertaker and just choke slam people into the cage all day.
Right.
Until they would break. And it was awesome.
So Cody mentions the best wrestling game was SmackDown vs. Raw in 2008.
See, so I don't remember
it was far before
that one. That would have been like my college years. I was playing NCAA football, and that was basically it at that point.
Speaking of
which,
ooh,
NCAA football,
the segue
coming
king.
back. Yeah.
That's what I do.
You know what though? One like huge downfall, and Tyler will like this one, but there was no NCAA video game when Lamar Jackson was in college. That would be
trash.
Him being in an NCAA football game would be just nasty.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'll give you
that would be nasty. Because I would run the triple option to death with him.
That's all you. I mean, all you'd have to do. You could just run that Michael Vick Madden offense. Where I was just gonna say every time.
Who would have been more dangerous?
Zone coverage. You
Lamar Jackson and NCAA or Michael Vick and Madden. What was it? 05?
Jim, you don't know my Madden prowess. DiNardo can speak to it.
I don't know your Madden prowess. No.
You don't. DiNardo was in a league with us.
Yeah, I don't.
My quarterback.
Okay.
Was Nick Marshall from Auburn.
I remember Nick Marshall.
Yes,
he was not.
I can speak to this.
I put him at quarterback, and I ran the triple option down people's throats.
I hated Tyler.
Everyone hated me because I just ran the triple option.
It was so dumb. You weren't good. You just
he found a loophole. He found the glitch in the system.
Basically.
It's not my fault that I drafted a 4th round running back that ran a 4.2, and I was like, "Yep, mine." And then I mixed in the Wildcat, and I just run a jet sweep with the guy that ran a 4.2, and nobody could stop me. Everyone was so mad at me, other than someone's kid. I don't remember him.
Oh, yeah. Kid. But anyway,
we had
NCAA coming back out.
It was tough.
That's huge.
NCAA football coming back out is one of the best pieces of news there could be. Now the only thing we need to do is figure out a way to buy a PlayStation 5 because I don't even know if they actually exist. Like I see them, see people say they have them, but I've never seen one before, nor have I seen one available.
They're photoshopped. I've only seen pictures, not a video, not an actual video. But no, for real, I struck out again today. Walmart released them at 3:00. Yeah. I was there all the way to 3:40, and then bam, sold out.
I mean, you go to Target and you see all the PlayStation 5 video games, but there's no PlayStation 5, and you're like, how do you actually play these games?
Right.
DiNardo, why did you care that much to be up till 3:40
p.m.?
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah, I did see the notification that they were.
Although I was actually up about 3:00 in the morning anyway, so if it was in the morning, I also probably could have done it.
See, my brain it goes back to high school where it was Call of Duty's coming out. We're gonna be up all night waiting. We're gonna go park outside GameStop.
Oh yeah, Madden, Call of Duty. I was midnight. I was there, for sure.
And then, hey Bob, call me off school. Yeah, that was my teenage years. I know you're in your mid-20s by then.
I wasn't a teenager. I didn't have to go to school.
I know.
I didn't have to ask mom. I just went.
Well, I did. Well, in DiNardo's case, I got to call work and call off.
Talking about the PS5 too. How about the cover of the show? That was pretty. It looks pretty badass. That Tatis with the bat flip.
That's got to be the most legit game, sports game cover I've ever seen. That is so good because not only the moment of it, right? Not only Tatis, that iconic picture, but just the background, the entire illustration of the cover looks so legit. I love that.
Yeah. No, it looks good. Now it's just we need to find PS5s because
to play it.
Yeah, who knows?
So let me bring this up, and we can tie this into Pirates talk a bit. Because there was definitely a lot of hype, and of course, around Pirates Twitter, definitely, because it's within Pittsburgh. I mean, it is the year of 2021, so it's the show 21. I know there's a big push, some movement to get Roberto Clemente on the cover. Do you guys take issue that it wasn't Clemente this year?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't even think about it.
There was like a campaign going. Like the Pirates even got behind it. I feel like a little bit.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, but no, I think it would have been cool, and like it would have been a cool way to honor him. The other thing, though, in like looking at it from just like a pure baseball standpoint, like from Major League Baseball, is the whole point of this game is it's marketing. Like you're wanting to market this game and get people to play the game, and Tatis is one of those guys that is going to attract people to it. So I totally understand their decision. I don't think going with Clemente would have been a bad move, but if we're trying to market today's young talent and get people interested in baseball, you can't go wrong with Tatis here.
I'm not gonna lie, the retire 21, the Clemente stuff, it's gotten a little bit old over the last 5 years or so. I get it. Everyone knows who Clemente is in Pittsburgh, but at some point it gets a little exhausting, at least for me, where we're a little overkill. Like, in all the markets, yes, everybody knows Clemente was he's got an award named after him. Great guy. But we don't have to bring it up every single year.
Yeah.
So I think we had this discussion before, like what's a good way to honor him. And yeah, I think the retired number thing is something that should be reserved for Jackie Robinson and Jackie Robinson only. I think they honor Clemente a perfect amount right now. MLB Network, their morning show studios named after Roberto Clemente, Studio 21. You've got Roberto Clemente Day. You've got the Roberto Clemente Award. I think they do a pretty good job of honoring him.
Yeah, I guess I'll throw my 2 cents in here too. I'm kind of like with Jim. I feel like around Pittsburgh, there was a lot of momentum, but outside of Pittsburgh, is anyone, and I don't want to say truly going to care to disrespect Roberto Clemente, right? But it's like, are they going to feel like, oh, wow, Roberto? Like, I guess, for instance, like when NBA 2K was being released and it's like, let's get Kobe on the cover. Like, I felt like everyone felt that. You know what I mean? And that would be a great honor for him. And everyone around the country would be like, wow, that's so good. But I felt like with Roberto Clemente, that would have hit to home, like with a lot of Pirates people and people in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. But like someone in San Diego, someone in New York, someone in Miami or such, seeing that, are they going to be drawn to it? So like Jim said to me, it's a marketing thing. It would have been a cool gesture. It would have been a nice honor to have Roberto Clemente on the show 21. But in all reality, that's also kind of what's wrong with baseball. They're going like the stars, like, when Ken Griffey Jr. is still like your most famous baseball player and he hasn't played in like 20 years. Right. So to have Roberto Clemente on there also kind of feels like we're going backwards with the game. So yeah, Tatis Jr. with that cover that they have on there. And also on top of that, like the interviews they're having with him, he's embracing this. Like he wants to be the face of the game. Yeah. We talk about Trout, how good Trout is, and it feels like he doesn't want that attention. Like you finally have someone who's really, really good, who's really, really fun, and he wants to embrace it. Like, give me all Tatis Juniors you can right now.
So, just to bring this up, I've mentioned it plenty of times that, yes, I coach baseball. So, we have freshmen on our team right now that while they are going through hitting instructions, if they have a wide stance, I will say, oh, you look like you learned from Albert Pujols. I had a freshman look at me and go, who's Albert Pujols? If that does not tell you enough about where we're at right now with the younger generation in baseball, what more do you need to know?
He probably thought you were making a joke about his poo hole.
But it's not just that, though, either. Like but
Come on, coach, that's my joke.
But even to throw that out, just like I'm in Ohio, a lot of Cleveland Indian fans ish. If I even talk to them, yeah, you guys just traded Lindor. They're like, who's that? Kids are not watching the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
we all know it, but it's like a punch in the face whenever you actually talk to them and they don't even know who these guys are.
Especially those ones. I mean, it'd be something if you're like,
it's like you are playing the sport and you don't know who we're talking about.
Yeah. Right. No one's talking about
and
like
it goes
Eric
back
Gonzalez.
to the whole. It goes back to the whole issue that like baseball, they don't let other accounts tweet out their GIFs. They don't let other accounts tweet out, videos, Instagram. They don't allow that stuff. Like, whereas like the NBA, and I will use that as an example because they're clearly the sport on the rise, right? Especially among young people. You can get NBA content anywhere, everywhere. Whatever you want to see from an NBA content standpoint is out there for you, and it's on the platform that you're using. And baseball is just not like that, and it sucks because I always go back to like when they shut down the Pitching Ninja account. Like, who in their right mind thought that was a good idea? Like, let's shut this guy's Twitter account down because he's showing people just how filthy these pitchers are. We can't let this guy spread that information around. Like, that was insane. It was one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
And he would have drop boxes and like give them out. And it's not even so much of like, hey, look how cool, look how nasty these guys are. It's also like, look at this grip. He's helping and teaching young people how to play, how to pitch, pick up things. I mean, like what he is honestly doing for the game of baseball was so extraordinary, but baseball is so short-minded, as we keep talking about NBA, big picture. Let's grow the game. Countries, we're going all over the world. Everyone share our stuff. Let's just make sure you see our product. Everyone sees it. You get into it. It grows, it grows, it grows. And baseball's like, no, we want our 13 cents on that GIF, right? That's what's more important to them. The 13 cents today opposed to the $1.50 tomorrow.
And it's not even just that. They won't let in market streaming. And who is cutting the cords the most right now? People our age who are having kids right now.
You're right.
People our age. You are murdering that entire, within a 15-year window. Yes, Leonardo. But in all seriousness, though, people from 40 to 25, that's the group having kids right now. Guess who's not watching in-market baseball streaming right now?
Mm-hmm.
People at this age, because we're not buying cable anymore. I don't have cable. I'm going to illegally watch your games, and you know how many people aren't going to do that? 99%.
I mean, actually, right before the show, we talked about, Jim and his Oculus that he apparently has. And, Jim bring it up. I mean, you're talking about how the NBA, what they do, and it's like, and we're still fighting about baseball just being a decent stream.
I live in Ohio and I can't even get the Pirates in market. Like out of market.
I will say this, like about baseball streaming technology, it's excellent. And that's why they were able to sell the technology and it's being utilized by all these companies. So like what they came up with MLB.TV is like an unbelievable product. But the fact that you can't watch your local team on MLB.TV is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like you're segregating the fans who actually want to watch you, right? The fans in your market, you're not letting them purchase your flagship product. It's mind blowing that that's a thing, and it seems like it's not going to change anytime soon.
You are alienating the group that is cutting the cord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
a lot of people.
Unbelievable.
But on this stream right now, who has actual cable? Raise your hand. Perfect.
I mean, like we have cable. Do we have AT&T? No, that got cut.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've Hulu Live, so I guess I have live TV. But
okay,
it's
but still, I guess cable. That's true. Yeah. I mean, but I don't either. I
haven't had cable in 10 years.
Boo-boo.
Whatever
that is.
But Leonardo, if you move to Newcastle again, can you watch Pirates? Nope.
But right.
Can't. Yep. Like I live in Ohio and I cannot watch this team because I'm apparently in the Indians and the Cleveland baseball team in the Pirates market.
Ryan actually had that issue a lot too in Cleveland somehow, which again, in Cleveland, he was on the outskirts of Cleveland, and it was like 1 year he got it and the next year he couldn't.
I had that issue too before. It depended on what part of the house I was in.
Really? Your house that big?
At one point, yes. Yeah. And
God,
when I was in Youngstown.
Your life sucks, Tyler.
Yeah, I lived in Youngstown.
Watching games from the corner.
It depended on what part of the house I was in that I could watch it.
MLB was like, I hate this guy right here. That's where we're drawing the line.
Let's put the line in his living room.
$20 a month for MLBTV. Like, I was trying to give them that, and they wouldn't take it. They were like, nah, you can't. No, Pirates out.
They're like, he can watch it, but he's got to be sitting in the corner of this room.
Yeah.
Tyler had to go out and buy the 12-foot HDMI cable.
And then I think we had maybe 2 months of in-market streaming, where if you had like DirecTV with AT&T, you could log in, and I think it lasted a year, and they booted it.
Well, they talked about that for a while, and then they kept advertising it, but then everybody was like, how do you make this work? That doesn't work.
But it did not work at all.
Jim's right. I mean, the app is great. Like, all the features you can do with it. You know, I mean, watching dual games at once. You know, all the highlights you get. You know, when you get notifications too that someone has like a no hitter or whatever. I mean, like the app is great. It's fantastic. And of course, for me, who lives in Jacksonville, I can watch the games with it. I mean, it's why it's even more. It's fantastic for me. I've had MLB TV for probably close to a decade now, just to make sure, you know, I can watch the Pirates down here and such. So, like, of course, I get all that. But for people like yourself that's in the area, don't have a cable, like, to not be able to watch your homegrown team. So are you going to watch another team, or just choose to watch the NBA right now, or hockey, or whatever, something else?
Or I'm going to watch the thing illegally on my Fire Stick.
There you go.
And you're not getting a dime out of me. Deal with
Tyler
it.
wins.
I mean, I do win out of that, but nobody really seems to put out the streams for Pirates games because they're pretty bad.
And you know what bothers me too? Every I want to say preseason because it's the offseason, but it's before the season starts. You know how MLB sends you that survey of like the things and like the options you want to see from MLB TV for the upcoming year? Every single year there's a box you can check that says in-market streaming. And every year we all check it, and every year we never get it.
It's ridiculous.
Like, what's the point of the survey?
Right.
It's another case of the MLB looking at the short term rather than long term, because they're looking at the short term with their TV contracts, where they want AT&T. They're trying to protect them, but it's another hit long term.
But both can win. You know, I mean, so like Tyler, for you, okay, for instance,
I mean, can they though?
If it's $120 for me to purchase this, right, and I'm outside the market, so I mean, if it's $120 for me, what if it was an extra $30 a year for you to get the in-market thing, right? And then that's what MLB does; they split it or whatever. So 15 goes in MLB's pocket, 15 goes in AT&T's. I mean, is that not a win-win? And I think you'd be willing to pay the premium price for it.
I would gladly give the MLB money if I were able to watch the Pirates or the Penguins are in the same boat. The NHL is just as inept as the MLB. But I'd gladly give them money.
Technology.
Exactly. I would gladly give them money to be able to watch them without any issues of illegally streaming. We'll just say I'm doing that. I don't want to get fined. Allegedly.
Yeah, we're going to get kicked off the App Store.
Yeah, I'd gladly give them money for that, but I can't do it. So instead, we're in the same boat of the MLB. They care about the short-term TV contracts, and then we end up in the same boat of where the hell are the young kids going to watch this? Nowhere, because people my age, Jim's age, not the artist's age,
man,
who have kids are not able to watch games anymore because we cut the cord.
Can we actually talk about BAM Tech a little bit as well too? And I guess the reason for that is, I mean, it was a hot topic, you know, a few years ago. And of course it was really hot because obviously the owners, you know, all getting $50 million. So
rainy day fund.
Everyone in Pittsburgh,
that rainy day came.
Anyone in Pittsburgh, you know, well, what are they going to do with that $50 million? They better put it on payroll, right? We finally goes to the Dominican and such. But like, okay, so think about this. MLB creates, they have BAMTech, the streaming technology, which is we're talking about is fantastic. They did go ahead and sell it. I think it's funny because I forgot so much about like what's involved with this. I mean, they still have 25% ownership of it. And like with all the streaming servers that are coming out, I mean, we talk about NHL, like they're part of it as well. Disney, right? HBO Plus, you know, like think about all the streaming servers that run off that, and MLB's getting 25% of this revenue. So again, as we're talking about MLB and MLBPA and all the fighting and how they're poor, like these streaming services are blowing up right now. And I know part of it's short-sighted, right? As Jim pointed out in the chat, like they should have just kept it. But regardless, like they're getting a 25% cut of all this stuff. I mean, MLB's not poor.
That they're not going.
ESPN Plus.
They are not poor. They are not poor at all.
All these streaming servers are blown up, right? Mighty Ducks is coming on or is coming on Disney Plus. Jim's excited about it. Jim's going to be watching the Mighty Ducks, and guess what? Rob Manfred's taking some of Jim's money for doing it.
I hate that guy.
Damn, Rob Manfred.
That guy's
ruining
going
my Mighty Ducks experience.
Rob Manfred's going to be the death of baseball. We're going to be soccer.
We'll see. I mean, this labor negotiation, which is another thing, kind of new news here. It's
Jim, what is the labor negotiation going to do?
It's going to be so
make kids
bad.
Play baseball.
It's going to be so bad. No, it's going to do the opposite. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have like no baseball at all for a year.
I know, but
it's going to be bad.
Baseball missed their boat during the NFL concussion issues. That was the time that we pushed the hell out of baseball. Instead, basketball just took over. And now little 5'6" white kids like me think they're going to be NBA players. Like baseball,
I mean, you could always go to Europe.
The boat. Baseball has missed the boat so many damn times. They missed it during that. They missed it during the pandemic when they could have been back before anyone else. Didn't do it. No, we had to argue about who's going to make 60% of their salary or 50% or how much we're going to get paid for. They're going to miss it again. What are we doing? Your sport's dead. But hey, we put funny names on the back of our jerseys during the Little League World Series, so good for us. There's a reason we got a bunch of schools with 14 kids playing baseball now.
Can't argue with you.
Okay, so let's transition to that topic. So MLB hires Ken Griffey Jr., which I look at this and say, how did it take this long? How? But anyways, MLB hires Ken Griffey Jr. Is the kid being part of the game now? Like, is he going to help out? Is there really anything that he can do? Is this just something like, it's cool, we have him? Or is he going to like actually implement some change?
At the end of the day, Rob Manfred's job is to make money for the owners right now. And he's doing that, right? I mean, he's doing his job, but at the same time, it's not doing anything for the future of the sport. And I don't really like. I know they hired Ken Griffey Jr., but like Ken Griffey Jr. may give some tips as far as like how they should maybe market the sport to kids and young athletes. But at the end, like I said, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to the dollars. And I just don't know if they're open-minded enough to do anything about it. Like this whole thing with minor league baseball too has been a cluster where they're essentially trying to, they're trying to take control of minor league baseball. Essentially, is what they're doing, right? They want full control of the sport all the way through, the ranks. And in that same token, in that same sense, you now have 40 or so cities across the United States that used to have pro baseball in it. You could go to a pro baseball game for $5, have a hot dog, have some beer, and now you can't do it anymore. So I think that was a terrible decision this past offseason. I really can't get behind anything baseball's done in the last few years.
So I kind of disagree with that. Not totally. I mean, I agree with Jim about Ken Griffey. Like, Texas just hired Vince Young again. What's that going to do for their program? Not shit. Go ahead and hire another guy that's used to be good. Good for them. In regards to them cutting minor league or trying to take over it, I think that helps the sport. I think in a regular fan's perspective, you need to shorten the minor leagues because they need something to look forward to. This can't be a 4 or 5 year wait and see what happens with everybody we draft. The NFL, it's who we draft. Let's see what they do. Instead, with baseball, we got to wait a long time. And a rebuild takes so long in the MLB that a normal fan doesn't want to wait that long.
See, I don't think what they're doing, though, is going to have anything to do with player development. Like, I don't think what they're doing is going to make people get – I don't think people are going to get to the majors faster just because they cut out short season A-ball.
But at the end of the day, I think that's the big thing that really does need to happen to help baseball is that we cut out the 18 steps that it takes to get a guy to Major League Baseball. Fans need to be able to look at their draft and realize.
So the only way to do that though, is to
get
rid of. The only way to do that though is to get rid of Major League Baseball players, because then what you would then do is you're getting. Rid
I don't
of
care.
28 and 29-year-olds, and you're now replacing them with 20 and 21-year-olds who aren't as good, right?
Well, let me counterpoint here a bit. I think there's an in between. Okay, I think obviously there's a true reason for development in baseball, right? So it's not as if some guys can be in playing at 19 years old. Like there is a development track. But how many guys do we see that we feel could be playing, but because financial reasons they're not? And that's why they're delayed even further. So I think in between a little bit. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Jim. I don't think this speeds up the development process. However, I do feel that there's probably quite a few players in the minors that could be playing right now, but they're not due to control reason.
Okay. I mean,
yeah. So I think that's a different
if you
issue.
draft a guy, we're looking at they're 18 years old. If I'm a fan of the Pirates right now, which I am, we draft an 18-year-old, we're looking 5 years down the road.
And I just want to be, the opposite side here. Right. In NFL, how long do you have to be out of college or high school to be in the draft? You're talking about instant gratification. You're talking about how NFL, you get to see the guys right away, but those guys aren't being drafted at 18 years old either.
But it's
the difference is the NFL basically has a built-in minor league system in college football.
Right.
College football is the NFL's minor leagues.
All right, well, let's flip it and call it the NBA then. They wait 1 year. They're ready. Draft them. Then what happens? They're on your team.
Again,
I don't have to wait 5 years for my guys.
The development is the issue because you can draft the best 18-year-old in baseball, and that 18-year-old doesn't know how to throw a changeup, right? So like you if you're an 18-year-old pitcher and you throw 98 and you've got a devastating curveball, guess what? You probably can't throw a changeup because it's a really freaking hard pitch to throw. Like there aren't 18-year-olds out there with devastating changeups. That's a pitch that you have to learn in the minor leagues. It takes you 2 to 3 years to get a feel for it, right? Same thing with hitters. Like you have hitters who are drafted or come from the Dominican at a young age. They may tear up single A ball, but then when they get to double A and they face pitchers who have better sliders, they have better changeups, it takes them a while to adjust. You can't take the best 18 or 19-year-old in baseball and throw them into the major leagues because they're going to get dominated. A 30-year-old pitcher with a wicked slider is going to be able to dominate any 18 or 19-year-old kid.
I understand that, but we also need to find a way to make the teams that are at the bottom of the barrel feel like they have a shot the next year. Because until we do that, fans of teams like the Pirates are going to wait 4 years, watch their guys get groomed, and then where are we at? Where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And then we got teams
there's
like
a lot of things I think that need to be changed in baseball. And I think most of it is just the financial structure. So much of the financial structure of baseball is just so weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
That's a key thing of it. But we're also like, look at the Cleveland Browns. Their fans feel like they have a chance every year. Yeah, they're better now.
But it's also because of the financial structure. The Cleveland Browns get the same amount of money as the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots.
They also make they draft every year and feel like, these are the guys that are going to make the change right now.
But that's why my argument always has been too. Like
they're able to go out there and get Odell Beckham. They're able to go out there and get Kareem Hunt. Like they're able to go out there and get these guys and pay them because of the revenue, the economics of the sport. In baseball, that's just not happening. It's not possible.
Yeah, I mean, look at us right now. We're Pirates fans. What do we have to look forward to next year? Absolutely nothing.
Altoona.
Yeah, minor leagues.
Like
but
we
that's
have
what I'm
to
saying.
look
And this is
forward
my
to
argument too.
AAA.
Like when it comes to NFL, it's just incompetency. Like your team being terrible is just solely incompetency. Like you don't have a financial reason to be as well. Where in baseball, you literally do have that reason. You can say all day that nobody can spend more money, and that's true. But it doesn't matter. He'll never, the Pirates will never be able to spend as much as the Yankees ever. So it's not a fair game in baseball, period, point blank. So it's not just incompetency, it can also be financial reasons. And the NFL, if you're not a good organization, it's just because you're not a good organization. That's it.
Yeah, and that's why the NFL rules supreme.
And I agree. And also NBA. I agree. I mean, I'm for the cap. I really am. I think it just makes the sport better. It really does.
But if I'm a player right now, I don't want the cap. If I'm one of the best ones in the league, when I can make 300-something million. But I also
do we want to go into this? Maybe
I think we are getting to a point though where I think we're capping out.
Well, we're capped out because of the luxury tax threshold, and teams aren't going over that anyways.
They're treating that.
But
as
I think what could benefit players, right, is right now, if you do have a stud, right? How many teams can actually go out there and afford to sign Garrett Cole? Like when Garrett Cole was a free agent, how many teams legitimately were in the Garrett Cole sweepstakes where they were like, okay, we can offer this guy 12 years, $400 million, right? There's not a whole lot of teams who can do that.
It was the Angels.
The one thing that the one thing that cap structure can do is, maybe no team spends more than $220 million or something, but then you also don't have any team spending less than 160, right? So you've got teams like the Pirates and the Indians and the Marlins that are spending $50 million right now. You're adding $100 million to their payroll, right? So they're able to actually be in the mix for some of these guys. So I think I think from the player standpoint, I get the idea of like not wanting to have a cap. You don't want to have a cap on your revenue. If you're in a job and you're going into your job, you don't want to have a cap, right? But being able to also have a floor and complete revenue sharing, I think in the end, it could ultimately lead to more spending overall, right? Maybe you don't have the Dodgers and the Yankees spending as much, but you've got other teams spending more and it evens out. So
there are so many issues that go into it. Like we just went through a pandemic. Teams are spending much less, but the thing that baseball has going for them, they got to keep the guarantee money coming. It's not like the NFL where you can just cut a player and call it a day. But they have that going for them.
But I mean, you can still. I mean, NBA is guaranteed.
I know. Well, I'm just saying compared to the NFL,
true,
they have guaranteed money coming their way. So that part works in their favor. And also, we're talking about maybe what are we? 10, 15 players that are making buku bucks.
And that's what I was going to get to.
What about the
those guys?
What about the Garrett Cole when he's in his first year and throwing a 3.22 ERA and he passed up a lot of money with the Yankees to go to the Pirates, who are paying him bare minimum salary.
And that's what I was getting to. I mean, it's like those guys, like your Trouts, right? Your Garrett Coles. I mean, like those guys, they might, right, be affected because they don't have an unlimited amount of funds that they can receive by whomever they want to throw at them, right? But I feel like it's the other guys that are being, I mean, like you're seeing not so much maybe the second tier, I mean the mid tier, like, you know, the guys that keep getting those 1-year deals squeezed out, you know, like the majority, like the everyday man in baseball. You know, the person that's not getting that big time contract once they go through the ARB years, you know, I just feel like they're really being affected right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I'm trying to think of a guy off the top of my head.
You can see that. I mean, you look at somebody like Mike Moustakas, Yasmani Grandal, right? Like those guys had to go and take 1-year deals.
Yes.
With the Brewers because no one else would actually give them a multi-year deal that made sense for them. So, you know, you've got these people going out there signing maybe more lucrative 1-year deals than they would get over a course of a long period of time. But like, you can't tell me that Yasmani Grandal wouldn't have been deserving of like a 6-year, $130 million contract in the year that he signed a 1-year, $18 million deal.
That's a great point. Are you telling me Garrett Cole was worth 322 million, I think, 330, something like that, $330 million, but Grandal was only worth 18 million. Like that was the separation of them two? Mm-hmm. No, absolutely not. You know, but it's guys like Grandal and Moustakas that are really, really, really getting affected. And to Jim's point, I do feel like, I mean, the Yankees could probably find a way to have a Garrett Cole and that contract in there, you know, with a cap, and you're constructing your roster differently. But I feel like you'll be able to, and it's more competitive. And right, you don't have the Yankees spending $200 million, and then the Pirates having 36 million or whatever it is right now, 40 million. You know, the Pirates would have to spend $100+ million. So it was like everyone's getting paid. And I get it, it's a socialistic approach, but Tyler said this over and over again when we had our show in the Nose Dugout. It's like when it comes to sports, we just feel like the best way for sports to run and to grow the game is to have a socialistic approach to it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, NFL's king. NBA's doing well. Like they all have these caps, and then baseball's with all the problems. And here's a lot of the problems. There's a lot of financial stuff. And it's like if they would really get on board with all these other leagues and come together in that sense, I feel like they could really grow the game because you could have teams like the Pirates, right? As the Steelers do. The Steelers are very successful. Same market. They have the ability to be successful in this market.
Like, look at the Penguins.
Like, another one, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, the Penguins are the prime example. They were almost bankrupt.
Yeah.
They were saved by a draft pick.
Revenue sharing saved the Penguins. Because, they got saved by the draft pick, but they also couldn't have kept that draft pick without revenue sharing.
Like, they were halfway to Kansas
Ramirez
City.
Trade.
Right.
Exactly. But, I mean, if you look at in baseball, look at a guy like Tommy Pham. The guy's almost a 7-win player a few years. He's made $18 million in his career, and he's played for 7 years. He's 32 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, are you going somewhere with this, Tyler?
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where
I'm saying a guy like that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is like Tommy Pham probably needs to be
arbitration
deserves to make more money, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Arbitration has absolutely killed him.
Yeah.
Because he's been locked in a 6-year contract, basically, making bare minimum, and now he's made $18 million. Yeah, I know $18 million is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, if he's a free agent 3 years ago, he makes a really lot of money.
No, and you say it's a lot of money, but in relative to what? I mean, it's a lot of money, but right, it's more money going in all these owners' pockets because they're not paying these guys. So again, who are you really fighting for? The millionaires or the billionaires?
I'm arguing on your side, Donardo, saying that he does.
No,
he has not made his worth.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
He's so stupid, isn't he, Jim?
I'm agreeing with your point. That's what I'm saying. I'm putting in another aspect. I'm talking to the people that you mentioned.
Yeah.
We're talking about $1 million. I'm saying, no, you're right. I mean,
money.
I understand, like, people can say, like, oh, it's $18 million. Let me cry for him. But I mean, reality, then it's more billions in the owner's pocket. That's the problem.
Right. And
at the end of the day, you're watching the game of baseball. You're watching the players on the field. I'm all for the players getting as much money as they deserve, because that's who I'm watching. It's entertainment. They're the ones providing the entertainment. If I'm spending money, I want that money spent on the entertainment, not going to the guy just sitting in the booth, right? So I think we all kind of agree on that. But no, I think there's so many problems with the game right now. Obviously, economics is one of them, and I don't even really know the best way to fix it. I think maybe a full revenue sharing would probably fix it, but like that's not even in the equation right now. It's the owners don't want it, the players don't want it, no one wants it other than the fans of small market teams, right? Because like the Dodgers fans don't want it, Yankees fans don't want it. They're cool with the way the system is right now.
Of course, it's in their favor.
So it's one of those things where like, all right, are you going to change the game for the fans of your less popular teams? They're not in a hurry to do that right now.
It's something I've said before too. Like as far as the cap, I would still be cool with a luxury tax. Like not even I'm at a hard floor, but a soft cap. I mean, you still have the ability to go wherever you want. You're just taxed. I'd be cool with that. I mean, it's also more revenue sharing for the other teams than happened.
Right.
I think it just all comes back to the fact that the MLB has not looked towards the future whatsoever. They are year to year right now.
They haven't looked at it successfully. We're
looking at, you know what? We're making enough money. We'll figure out next year.
I don't know if they're going to figure out next year. That's kind of all that thinking has gotten us to this point where next year is coming up next year. And I don't know if we're going to figure it out.
And I mean, the one thing I think the MLB has done well is guarantee money, but because I go back to one guy in the NFL, Alfred Morris, that rushed for a metric F ton of yards. The guy hasn't been paid like ever. So the MLB does do that correctly, but we're also got a bunch of guys that, I mean, you could be a Cy Young candidate in your first year and then fall off a cliff and you make absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Hopefully you had a good signing bonus.
$530,000.
Yeah. Hopefully you had a good signing bonus. If not, good luck. And anybody that complains about it, would you like to go to your boss the next day as the best employee and be like, you know what? He's making enough. I'm good with where I'm at right now. Thanks, guys. No.
Right.
I'm going to bitch all day.
So, 2022 season.
Good talking, Nardo.
Is it happening?
I'm going to say yay, but it's short.
If the 2022 season was a stonk, would you invest in it or would you short it?
I'm shorting that thing.
I'm shorting that stock. That is for, yes.
So you guys are a bunch of hedge fund investors, huh?
Yeah.
I'm
calling my hedge fund manager, and we are shorting the 2022 season. Yeah.
I am hoping everything gets shortened until 2023, when the Pirates might actually be competitive again.
I brought up the point, if we tank this year, right? We tank this year, we lock up the number one pick for 2022, then then next year gets canceled. then we're looking at 3 straight number one overall picks, which
love it. I love it. Let's do it. Let's cancel the next 3 years.
I have a feeling the season, like if I'm being real here, I think the season gets delayed. I don't think it starts on time. I just think both sides are going to dig in their heels.
I do. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to come to agreement in time to start the season, but I think something eventually gets put in place. So I could see maybe a June 1st opening day, like 100-game season type of deal.
We might have like 3 straight June 1st opening days.
Right.
I mean, I don't
it's going to be
hate that.
2020 all over again. It's going to be prorated. Then we're going to have a season, but then they're going to battle out what that season's going to be, what they're going to get paid, right?
I mean, they're doing that this year.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to work out the CBA, but then the CBA gets worked out, like you said, in June 1st, and then they're battling out how they're going to pay that season and how many games are going to fit in again. So then we're going to battle that part out also. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like these two sides,
all the fans blame.
Well, you know who they're going to blame. We saw it with the NFL. You already know who they're going to blame. They're going to blame the greedy players. They're going to blame the greedy players. We know it's going to happen.
And you can already see now. You got some of the media is already kind of in the owners' pockets. Like they're already carrying their flags. And there's some media members who are definitely, more on the side of the labor, right? But there's some guys out there where they're just, the owners are doing no wrong. How can the players not agree to this type of thing?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure obviously there's truths on both sides and whatever. And, I just feel both sides just despise each other. And it does it just knowing that that's what the owners want, right? That's the proposal. So I had to back it down no matter what, because that wasn't ours. And they just can't come together. And it's built to this way. Like you can't blame one side. It's built to this way. It's just the way this is progressed. And this pandemic did not help at all. And that's what bothered me so much, knowing the CBA is coming up. How, again, short-sighted, right? MLB was, knowing this is coming up, how you wanted to just strangle every penny out of the players, to recoup that, when it's just going to create more bad blood. And the CBA comes up, and here we go all over again. And where are we at now? Exactly to that point.
I mean,
well, it goes back to a lot of the people who defend owners, right? And they say, he's running a business. They're the ones shouldering they're the ones shouldering all the responsibility. They've got all of the, everything falls on them. If something fails, it's their business, right? And then, they've been operating this business that way, cautiously, where they're not spending all their money. And then all of a sudden something happens where, it does fall on them. Like that they're the owner of the business. It's their job to make sure that it works. And they then took all that and just deflected it to the players, saying, oh, now the players don't want to work with us. When this whole time, the owners have just not been operating in good faith for the better part of a decade now. And it gets me worked up.
I just love the fact that they proposed the universal DH again after a bunch of guys get released because there was no universal DH. So you just lost probably 10 jobs. And we're in February, so we're not going to really be concerned with that. We've already planned for this year. Teams aren't going to go out and sign a DH right now. Mitch Moreland got released for $3 million.
Right.
He would have been a useful DH. Maybe if we bring that up back in August.
No, we'll bring it up in February.
We're a little past that.
Pitchers and catchers are reporting in a few weeks.
Oh, guys, but here's what we'll give you an extra few playoff game checks. You go with that? Cool. And we'll cut the season by 7 games, 8 games, whatever. Woo.
Well, the other thing too, they were cutting the length of the season in terms of games, but they were taking away off days. So it's like they were delaying the season.
It's just the whole thing.
Month,
I mean,
but they were only taking 8 games away.
There's a CBA already in place. There's no reason anything has to change this year. So by the owners, doing this and the players accepting it or trying to do something, negates the CBA. And now it's 2020 all over again. There's no reason anything has to change right now. That's why I'm all for the players did. There was no reason they have to give up anything. What's benefiting them? Like Tyler said, they get a DH. It's too late. It's too late for that.
It's a little late for that one.
Right.
Free agents have been signed.
So you're right. I mean, screw that. I'm going into the season. We're going to have a normal season. Be ready this November. Because hell, wrath, fury.
We are reporting for spring training in a month.
Not even.
So
like 2 weeks.
But when this came out, though, it was
this week.
Yeah.
Was it this week? I don't know.
It was like Sunday.
Times blurred together. Yeah, but all right, here we'll give you the universal DH.
Right. Matt Caps, how many double headers? Those ain't easy. Right. I mean,
yeah.
Even them cutting
like
out the
imagine being a GM right now and just being like, you're really gonna give a universal DH right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've already assembled my team.
What did we see last year? Right. As Jim said, you're shortening the season, so less days off. Right. If you have to miss games and skip games, which I'm sure you're going to see this year. I mean, I understand there's a vaccine coming out and rolling out, but it's not fully out there. I mean, you're probably going to miss games. So right now you have all these double headers, less days off, and you're doing it over a full season now, not just 60 games. Why would the players agree to this?
Right, especially when there's already like there's already an agreement in place. Like the season is already laid out. They're entitled to play that, according to the CBA. There's no reason why it needs to change.
Jim, we're giving you a month off, basically. So go ahead and take this universal DH after we already.
Right. And they throw out the universal DH in exchange for this expanded playoffs thing. And, the expanded playoffs benefits ownership way more than it does players. Right. And again, going back
which they're trying to recoup.
Yeah. And it goes back to, if there's more, this is a 162 game season. Like that's one of the things I really appreciate about baseball is like over the course of 162 games, the cream rises to the top. Like bad teams don't make the playoffs, right? Everyone in the playoffs is a good team.
Don't get the Washington Redskins.
Or the football team.
Yeah.
but as far as that goes, I said, it just, the more teams that are eligible for the postseason means the less incentive the teams have to spend money to make their teams great. So like I said, what's the point of trying to win 95 games when 85 games gets you the same spot? Like I think it's a bad thing for a few different reasons. I hope that's something the players don't cave into.
I agree.
I don't think they didn't. So hopefully they don't in the future. I mean, as fans, I would like an expanded playoffs, but in their shoes, you got to give me a little bit more.
Now, if there was a cap and a floor, that wouldn't be a big deal because you're not worrying about spending money.
Different story.
Yeah.
Could be different.
But you can't just give me a few extra game checks.
Can we also not have a 1 game wild card playing? Like, can we stop with that?
I'd be down with making that like a 3 game, making that like a 3 game series. That would be like go 3 and then 5 and then 7.
Yeah. I mean, after 162 games and then you get rewarded by 1 game and then you lose that. I know it hits hard, watching the Pirates for a few years, but even if it wasn't the Pirates, that sucks.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. I mean, when we were a 98 win team in 2015 and we were one and done.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Bumgarner.
Thank you, Jake
Arrieta. Thanks, guys.
Madison Bumgarner.
Their team was awesome, though.
Was.
For 3 days.
All right. I think we talked enough there.
Yeah.
It is exciting. The 1 game is super exciting. I will say that. I mean, that 2013 wild card game was one of the best sporting events I've ever been.
Yeah, and 2014 was exciting for about 2 innings.
Well,
I mean, actually, for about a day beforehand.
But is it worth the trade-off of the next day? Because that was very depressing.
I don't. When you find out Edison Volquez is starting for you, I think that should be enough. Or you're like, okay, we're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a good point. I don't think
it would have mattered in that case.
It would,
but I don't think we scored.
I like to go back to it.
I don't know, but that's just not. It's also just not baseball. I don't know. I get.
Or watching
1 game's rough for me.
Dexter Fowler score and be like, oh boy, we're not scoring on Arrieta.
All right, y'all.
I don't want to be reminded of that.
We'll be out of here.
Yep.
All right.
I think
we're
so.
back. We're back next week. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Later, guys.
Bye, Girl Scouts.